Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and in this video I'm going to talk to you guys about a few different men's footwear items because we all love dressing up and there are different categories of footwear that you might not really know about. So let's start with the most basic one, which is a flip-flop. Again, flip-flop is one of the most basic footwear that you can ever find, and flip-flop is also called a chappal over here in India. Now it's an official English word as well. It was just a Hindi word initially, now it's an English word as well. And flip-flop will be backless and it'll have a thong, which is why it's also called a thong in Australia as well as in North America and all that. It's just called a thong because it has a thong, and it'll be backless and it'll expose your toes. Moving on to the second one, which are called slides. Now slides, the name comes from the fact that it is very easy to slide in and slide out of from a slide, and slides again will have just a strap like that and it'll be backless and it'll expose your toes again. So that is called a slide. So you can see the picture over here, that's a slide. Moving on to the next one, which is called a mule. Mules again will cover your toes, but it'll be backless. That's kind of like a loafer, but it'll be backless. That's a mule. So these kind of shoes are called a mule, and it does come with a lot of different heels, but again with men it's usually low-heeled itself. And then comes the next one being loafers. Loafers again will look like mules, but it'll be covered at the back as well. So it's going to be a shoe that you can slide in very easily. It's again a very it's a shoe that will not have lace, so it's really convenient, and it is a low shoe. So low shoe in the sense it's a shoe which will expose your ankle, so that's a low shoe. And then moving on to the last one in the unisex category that we talked about, which are sneakers. Again, sneakers are also like a really basic type of footwear that we all have. It's an athletic shoe, and so the 5 different unisex footwear that we talked about include slides, flip-flops, mules, loafers and sneakers. Now let's move on to footwear that only men use usually. So the first one being brogues. Now brogues again are leather footwear, and it will have like perforated ornamental patterns on it. Perforated in the sense like patterns that's made with holes, by poking holes in it. So that's called a brogue. You might I haven't really seen many brogues over here in India, especially in Kerala, not many brogues. People don't use many brogues. So that's a typical kind of a shoe. Also, we have the next one, which is an Oxford shoe. Now, Oxford shoe again is kind of like brogues, but it won't have the perforated pattern that we talked about. And it is also a leather shoe, and it'll be low-heeled. And the thing with Oxford shoes is that it'll have closed lacing. So it's a particular type of lacing. It's a lace-up shoe with closed lacing, where we also have a shoe that is literally just exactly like Oxford shoes. A lot of people tend to confuse with Oxford shoes as well as derbies. Now derbies and Oxford shoes, the only difference is that Oxford shoes will have closed lacing system, but derbies will have open lacing. That's the only difference. Now let's talk about an Indian footwear that's not something that you might see when you go, when you travel internationally. It's called a mojri. It's an Indian footwear, so the name is also a Hindi word. It's mojri or mojri. I've heard both the pronunciations and I've been trying to figure out, but from my research I found out that some people call it mojri, some people call it mojri. And you don't really have to care much about this particular word because it's not even an English word to begin with. It's just a Hindi word. So in case if you're just trying to learn English, then you don't really have to pay much attention to this particular word or the pronunciation of this. And this is just a men's version of jutis. So jutis are literally a really popular footwear that we have in India that women usually wear. And this is the men's version of jutis. It'll have an extended tip and it kind of looks like a mustache. So that is called a mojri or a mojri. Now moving on to the last one, which is a sports sandal. Again, sports sandals are also worn sometimes by women as well. It kind of belongs to the unisex category, but I've seen mostly men wear it. And sports sandals are great for hiking, and it is also worn as a casual footwear. So we talked about 10 different footwear categories for men, and some wear unisex as well. So I'll just summarize those points that I talked about, the different categories. First one being flip-flops, then we talked about slides, mules, loafers, sneakers, then we talked about brogues, we talked about Oxford shoe, derby, and mojri and sports sandals. So I hope this video was helpful, and in case if you want to know more about the course that we provide at English House, do go ahead and click on the link below. Thank you so much for watching.
English House, English at your fingertips.